Who was the worst person you've ever sat next to on an airplane? Mine almost got me arrested mid-flight, and I didn't say a single rude word to her the entire time. My name's Liora. I'm a freelance forensic accountant. This was a red eye from London to JFK, right after I wrapped up a year-long federal fraud case. I had an encrypted hard drive in my carry-on, full of evidence that was about to put a multi-million-dollar scammer behind bars for decades. I was exhausted, just wanted to sleep through the 7-hour flight. The woman next to me, Meredith, seemed lovely at first. She helped me hoist my carry-on into the overhead bin, offered me a mint, made small talk about how brutal red eyes are. I let my guard down completely. An hour in, she tapped my arm and asked to borrow my pen to fill out a customs form. I handed it over without a second thought. She scribbled away for a few minutes, then handed it back with a smile. I went back to scrolling through my case notes, not thinking anything of it. 30 minutes later, she slammed her tray table shut and hit the flight attendant call button, hysterical. When the attendant rushed over, she dissolved into tears, pointing straight at me. She said I'd been sliding her sexually explicit notes under the armrest the entire flight, that I wouldn't leave her alone. My blood turned to ice. I'd barely spoken 2 sentences to her. Before I could defend myself, she held up a crumpled note full of vulgar lines and said my fingerprints were all over it, which they were. I'd handed her the pen she wrote it with. She wasn't done. She told the flight crew I had contraband in my bag, that I'd threatened to hide something on her to get her in trouble. The onboard air marshals were there in 60 seconds, demanding to search my carry-on. I froze. That bag had my hard drive, the only full copy of the case evidence. If they seized it, the entire case fell apart. When they unzipped it, they found 2 things, a small bag of marijuana, and a diamond engagement ring that I'd seen on Meredith's left hand when she boarded. I couldn't breathe. I had never seen that bag or that ring before in my life. She'd slipped them into my carry-on when I got up to use the bathroom 20 minutes prior. I was about to be arrested for drug possession, theft, and sexual harassment over the Atlantic, with no way to prove my innocence. Then it hit me. The fraud case I just wrapped? The scammer's last name was the same as hers. I'd seen her face in his family photos. She'd recognized me from the news pieces about the case, booked the seat next to me specifically, and planned this whole thing to get me locked up, to make sure I never handed that evidence over to the FBI. I looked straight at the lead air marshal and kept my voice steady. First, I told him to check the overhead cabin camera. It would have clear footage of her reaching into my bag while I was in the bathroom. Second, I pulled up my smartwatch on my wrist. I'd taken a time-stamped photo of my zipped, locked carry-on right before I left my seat. No bag or ring visible. Third, I told them to run a handwriting comparison between the note and her customs form, and to check her phone for text from her brother planning this. I looked Meredith dead in the eye and said, "You picked the wrong person to frame." I spend every single day tearing apart liars' stories for a living. The camera footage confirmed everything. They found the text on her phone instantly. She was cuffed to her seat before we even started our descent. When we landed, the FBI was waiting for her at the gate, not just for the frame job, but for aiding and abetting her brother's fraud scheme. I handed over the hard drive on time. Her brother got 22 years in prison. She got 7. Now, I never lend anyone a pen on a plane. Never. And I take a photo of my bag every single time I leave my seat. Some lessons you only need to learn once.